ready. We now take you to the broadcast of It's Time with Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Here's Reverend Martin.
All right, thank you, Dr. Blackwell. And let me say Hotep Habaragani to my Africana Studies colleagues, contemporaries, and seekers after the truth all. And let me go on to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but certainly never good night, and certainly never ever goodbye, because I've always found goodbyes traumatizing, especially as I grow older and go to the funerals of so many of my friends and colleagues, as well as my relatives. And time grows shorter, you can understand. My name is the Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles, and we're located at 8916 South Main Street, and we're being hosted by our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, of which my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Della F. Hollandis, is the pastor. And the offering that you are listening to or viewing, hopefully, is entitled It's Time, and this is a social justice offering, social justice episode weekly. And what we do is we try to look at what is happening in the society as it relates to social justice. And sometimes we can't see for looking, and sometimes we can't see the forest from the trees, but if we keep looking, eventually we'll get to see something. And so this is like I said, a social justice offering, and to narrow it down, we try to concentrate on the environment and the economics. I call them the two E's because they impact us, looks like the most, the environment that we live in, and whether it's the geography or the society, because your zip code could determine your length of your life, as Dr. Adewale has related to us. He used to be the medical director there in Louisville, Kentucky. He's retired now. But those are the two things that are the most salient, or have the most impact upon me and upon all of us, whether it's near or whether it's far away. Your environment affects you. Here in Los Angeles, we have been suffering directly and indirectly from the vast fires that have been burning for most of this summer. So many fires you can't keep up with the names of them. And they weren't here, but they were way out there. But yet the smoke from those fires, the ashes, the cinders, come over this way. And so just because it's not in your backyard doesn't mean it's not going to affect you. So that's what we mean by the environment. The environment, the effect that the environment has on us, and then in turn the effect we have on the environment. And of course the economics, well, you can understand all of that because we live in under a capitalistic system. This country was started by capitalism, regardless of what they talk about the Bible. This was about capitalism. If it hadn't been about capitalism, there would never have been slavery. And so the economics impact us. I couldn't even be here broadcasting if I couldn't afford to generate the fee that the people charge, and they couldn't afford to be here if they didn't have the ability to pay for the electricity and all that pertains to the equipment, and in order to get this type of a program broadcast. And so whether you sleep or woke, you're spending money. I'm telling you, it's a terrible thing, terrible thing. Okay, let me quickly look at the Bible text for today before we go off, because you know how fast I can get off. We're going to read again from the book of Habakkuk, verses 2 and, second chapter of Habakkuk, verses 8 and verse 12. And then we're going to go to the New Testament and read our Ephesians marching orders, Ephesians 6. Okay, first of all, Habakkuk chapter 2, it says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnants of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and the violence of the land, of the city, and of all those that dwell therein. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. And then in the book of New Testament, our scripture, book of Ephesians chapter 6, picking up the reading at verse 12, it says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And I know we can all say amen to that, looking at our country and looking at our international situation. And I hope you're prepared to, I hope you are voting absentee and have got your vote back in. But if not, well, you have till November 5th of next week. Wow, it's hard to believe that this thing is coming into the roundhouse. All right, now let us look at what we shall take note of this fine day, shall we? All right, the United Nations the United Nations Rapporteur, which is the reporter that reports back to the United Nations on the occupied Palestinian territory, accuses Israel of an unfolding genocide. She describes Israel as committing long-term, intentional forced displacement of the Palestinians. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas Greenfield, however, has posted on X, which is formerly Twitter, that Albanese is unfit for her role as United Nations rapporteur because she is an anti-Semite. They're throwing that around this last year and a half, that anti-Semite stuff. So I guess God must be an anti-Semite, according to them. The UN should not tolerate anti-Semitism from a United Nations official hired to promote human rights. That's Linda Thomas Greenfield, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. And of course, she has been rather controversial herself ever since this war started in Gaza. She has upheld Israel in everything, even before the International Court of Justice. Back at the top of the year, she always voted with Israel and against the other countries, whoever they were. And remember, the United States is on the permanent committee. It, along with France, Russia, the UK, and France, Russia, the UK, and I don't think of the other ones now. It's about 5 permanent members. They can overrule any vote that the other nations have, because they're the big dogs. They won World War II, and the United Nations is headquartered here in the United States of America. Miss Albanese, first name is Francesca, has responded that she was shocked looking at how the United States is behaving in light of the unfolding genocide in Gaza. You remember this genocide question came up because South Africa brought Israel before the International Court of Justice way back at the beginning. I think it might have started, no, way back in January. It might have been, and excuse me, in light of the unfolding genocide in Gaza. I'm not surprised they attack anyone who sticks to the facts. Let's see, they do that so brutally because they feel called out. The U.S. is not an observer. The U.S. is an enabler of what Israel has been doing. This report is the second on the unfolding genocide in Gaza. It is very reluctantly, that's Ms. Albanese speaking, it is very reluctantly that I have taken on the responsibility to chronicle the unfolding genocide taking place in Gaza. In March, she had concluded that there was reason to believe that Israel was committing genocide. And this second report, she goes deeper into the depths on this genocide. Says killing members of a protected group, in this case the Palestinians, which included creating the conditions, inflicting severe bodily and mental harm that would lead to the destruction of the group. In this case, the group would be the Palestinians. There was the intent to destroy, and there was also the determination. Remember, this is Mrs. Albanese speaking. There was the state intent, which included acts that were committed that should have been prevented. Genocide has been enabled through the various organs of the state of Israel. I think Israel has a parliament, and then they have a judicial system. And all those systems are working to destroy the Palestinians. Where was I? Let me pick up here. That was the state intent, which included acts that were committed that should have been prevented. Genocide has been enabled through the various organs of the state of Israel. Okay, now I know where I'm at. Palestinians have always been victims of a political ideology. Palestinians have always been regarded as an unwanted encumbrance. Sound like black people in America. Genocidal intent by way of inference. That's what she's getting at now. She refers to Article 2 of the United Nations Charter Against Genocide, created an obligation to prevent or to intervene. You notice whenever anyone questions the Biden administration or even Vice President Harris as she is campaigning, she says Israel always has the right to defend itself. So because they don't want to become under the Article 2 of the United Nations articles against genocide, because it carries an obligation to prevent or to intervene. Well, and so Israel is their client, you may as well say. I think George Bush declared interests of Israel are the interests of the United States, a foreign interest. Okay. And in the case of Israel, there is a combination of crimes. One, forced displacement. Two, mass killing of Palestinians. There is an ideological hatred which has informed the political doctrine. Also, there is the torture and mass destruction of property. Now, when this forced displacement was going on by the Russians against the Ukrainians, we were quick to want to haul the Russians before the United Nations and accuse them of forced displacement and mass killing of the people of Ukraine, in other words. And the administration was quite vocal, but they said not a peep, not a word other than to say Israel has a right to defend itself when it comes to the Israelis displacing the Palestinians, taking that land. I think I saw this week that there was a land grab, a rush to buy up that land of Gaza. I think Donald Trump's son, Jared Kushner, I think, is the prime. No, Jared Kushner is, I guess, is his son-in-law. But at any rate, they are already bidding on that land to take away the people's property. That means the people can have no right of return. The people, in this case, being the Palestinians, will have no right to return or to reclaim, because you notice that the Israelis, and I'm using the word Israeli in the place of the word Jewish, because this is an Israeli state. All Jews are not on board with this genocide that the nation of Israel is carrying out. And so you must always recognize that there is a division between the state of Israel and the Jewish people, because we got a lot of Jews over here in America that are appalled by this carnage, by this slaughter, by this massacre. Remember, the Jews themselves, I'm saying Jews now, when the Jews were over there on the continent of Europe and in World War II, or actually before World War II, or before the United States entered into World War II, that the Germans were pushing the Jews into concentration camps, and from there into the ovens, and all that massacre and genocide and Holocaust that was visited upon them. And remember, the cry was never again. But we've had the Rwandan genocide, we've had the Croatian genocide, we've even had a genocide in Somalia, and it's being done right in our faces. And somebody saying, don't say nothing about it. Act like you see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. But somebody's got to say this is wrong. Because in order to accept this condition of things as normal and routine, the Bible says you would have to develop a reprobated mind. And that means you lose your ability to recognize the truth when you see it. And I believe it was Ta-Nehisi Coates that got into trouble about remarking on what he saw when he was in Israel. And like he said, he didn't even get to Gaza. He could see what things were going on, how different things were in Jerusalem. They had a two class, or whatever. The top class could do. They had the roads. They had the right to the roads. They had the right to all of the good of the land, and the Palestinians who did not have the right to walk on the same roads, going by the same way as Ta-Nehisi Coates said, it reminded him of here in America under Jim Crow, or under segregation. And he's exactly right. And we are wrong if we fail to see this carnage, this outrage, this injustice that is occurring right in front of our faces. Remember, Martin Luther King said, I want to always be maladjusted. I don't never want to get adjusted where I don't speak out against injustice. And so that is the thing that the world, especially the church world, is trying to tiptoe around. D.L. Hughley said in one of his broadcasts or episodes that we're tying ourselves into contortions, trying to avoid recognizing that we are witnessing, and in our case, the United States case, we are enabling the commission of a genocide in our own view, in our own knowledge, in our own time. And I think if this were any other nation, we'd have spoke out about it. But we are supplying the bombs and the bullets and the airplanes and the technicians and the supplies, the resupplying and the resupplying that enables this genocide to continue to go on until now. Over 43,000 Palestinians have been killed, and a lot of those were women and children. And you can't accuse the children of being terrorists, and you can't accuse babies of being part of Hamas. And so we have really, like I said, contorted ourselves morally and intellectually, much like the German people did in their support of Adolf Hitler. They knew that was wrong, but because they were benefiting, they weren't being marched to the oven, they said nothing. They engaged in the promotion and the perpetuity of that Holocaust. And remember, if we're talking about never again, then why are we allowing this to go on unremarked? Wish I had a witness. Remember, Habakkuk says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. God spoke out against that way back then. And what are we doing up here now? Condoning, coddling, aiding and abetting, pampering, promoting a genocide just because we say these people in Israel are protecting our interests. What interest do we have over there that Benjamin Netanyahu is now the de facto president of the United States of America, and poor Mr. Weak Biden, he tell the man to stop, the man pick up more speed, do more violence right in his face, as if he was giving him the finger. And poor Joe, he can't do nothing about it because he's compromised, because he's been taking all that Jewish money all these years that he's been a politician, and by his own admission, he said he was a Zionist. I guess he can't get out of it now. And when he went over there and embraced Netanyahu after that October 7th that they talk about, and promised that they would support Israel in everything it did, and he's done it. Militarization, I should say, has no limit, and it's as though Israel has received carte blanche to do as it wants to, and this has created a stink that is not going to go away. We can't say we are an observer and we see this genocide going on and we don't raise a peep or a mutter. All right. Now, as I get ready to close, I want to talk about Trump voters. 5 minutes, yeah. Ta-Nehisi Coates said this week that looks like the black Trump voters are committed to advancing white maleness. You know, that's an absurdity. But when you look at the list of rappers and people like that that are supporting Donald Trump, it will give you pause. Trump voters are committed to celebrity, and we need to ask ourselves, it looks like some love politics for the entertainment. Remember, Donald Trump is above all things an entertainer, and the people like to be entertained. Not so clear that Trump, that anyone else but Trump could pull this off. And we may well ask ourselves, how do the issues of power, privilege, and identity shape up for black men? Rappers, political figures, etc. are seen to be drawn to Donald Trump. What's his name? 50 Cent. His last name is his real name is Curtis Jackson. Has openly said that Trump speaks for him because he's in that upper financial echelon, and Trump, in other words, gives him a tax break. Well, I'm not getting no tax break. I'm getting the tax burden from Curtis Jackson's tax break. And I can't afford to go to a Curtis Jackson concert, even if I was so inclined, because I couldn't afford to be there. But yet his politics and mine are at odds. And I don't know how this is, what percentage rather of the people are going to vote for Donald Trump. Seems like a larger percentage than the last time, and I don't know whether it's going to be 20% of blacks, and then you have the Mexican quotient, and then there are some other ethnic groups that are also going along with Donald Trump. And don't play that group cheap, because you could wind up on the losing end of an election, which we cannot afford. So as I get ready to wrap up, I want to commend you to him that is able to keep you from falling and present you faultless, amen, before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. And don't sleep on this election. I remember we would have got Hillary Clinton if all of us had voted for Hillary Clinton, instead of thinking, say, well, the other person they're going to vote for Hillary Clinton. So I'm going to vote down ballot and just leave the presidential ballot open or blank. And what did we get up with? We laid down with one thing, and we got up with Donald Trump. And so let us not make that same mistake again. Be about your Father's business, because now is the time. This may be a watershed moment for the whole world. Well, we know what's going to happen if Donald Trump gets back in. He's already told us that. This Project 2025 is going to be get put in with steroids, on steroids, and or jet rather, and they're going to be able to toss out the civil service workers that are in the government and bring in their own cohort of people. And if you saw Trump 1, you will not want to see Trump 2, how they're messing up. All right, remember the unions are on strike. Boeing is still trying to hold out for a better package. And as I wrap up, if you're working on a job and they don't want to pay you right, take Pastor Martin's considered advice and don't work for them. God bless you. Thank you, Doc. We out of here.